consistency.
Yeah.
That doesn't come from a conscious choice. It comes from years of practice, which has kind of made it that way. So now the point is, when you get to this point, now you have to go like keep working on yourself, because there's no end of learning.
Yeah.
Like till the day I die, till my last breath, there's so much to learn that I'll never be able to finish even 1% of what's there to learn, right?
I've seen like Nawaz ke photos, and they always like, you know how beauty and fashion, like everything looks same. Everything is high quality, pitch, वगैरह, perfect, beautiful, must. This feels thoda rustic. This feels like he's a kind of a mysterious person. Like you have met him, though you might know him. Like he has like a certain kind of personality. How did you took those personality traits and put it into a picture?
When I look at a camera, I'm not looking at it as a camera or a Sony or a Nikon or a Fuji or a Canon or a Hasselblad. I'm just like, यार इस पे 3 चीज होती है, aperture, shutter speed and ISO. मुझे 3 चीज बता दो कहाँ पे क्या है, उसके बाद मैं manage कर लूँगा. It doesn't matter what the camera is. It doesn't matter what this thing is. It becomes a tool. It becomes this thing. When I shoot, let's say, anybody nude, it's like, why not? Because not everything nude is sexual.
Hi guys, welcome to one of the legendary episodes of Frame of Mind, and today we are meeting Shivaji Singh.
What do you call it?
Frame of Mind. I'll have to do it again.
Why? No. This should be part of the interview. Why?
Okay,
don't make it so formal, man.
We'll keep it.
Yeah.
I really like the kind of work you're doing, and we're just having this discussion. Like, I'm gonna invite like these kind of photographers and all that. Like he asked me like what kind of guest you want in your podcast, and like जिसका मैं काम देखूँ and I feel like I want to know the story behind this picture because there are so many pictures and there is a consistent quality, and how does the person repeats his like wins and like successes. I want to like know the story behind it. मैं उनको जानना like invite करना चाहता हूँ.
Firstly, ये number of followers वाला तो thing is like a horrible thing, because there are a lot of big artists, there are a lot of big photographers who sometimes don't even have Instagram accounts. They have very few followers. They don't really give a shit about it, because when you're doing whatever work you're doing, this doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So yes, Instagram does become important. Even I kind of use it as a tool, because I've learned to kind of monetize it in a way, right? Not directly, indirectly, or let's say when I do workshops, so I promote, my workshops on Instagram. So yes, that reach does help in certain ways, but sadly that's become so there are two people who would know you because of your work.
Yeah.
One is the people in the industry who want to hire you, right? And they really are not. Some of them are finding you through Instagram, but most of them already know that through word of mouth or other forms of communication. And then there's the other one, people who are the consumer, the audience, and they can find you through Instagram because that's the more easy way to kind of access your work, right? So yes, in a way that it's nice to be able to put your work all out there. That's a good thing. So Instagram becomes a good tool, but it's just a tool. That's the thing. You have to treat it like ये एक avenue है for me to display my work.
I see that you have a kind of a style where like you feel like you know the person you're shooting, like actually know. Like I remember when I wrote the email, I mentioned कि the Nawaz का जो आपने photo लिया, that is the reason I want to like talk to you. How do you get that kind of a person's character in the image?
So now the style of images is not a simple thing, because it's not done consciously.
Okay.
What happens is it's done over years of practice, and when you kind of develop your work, over years and years, you form something which we call a signature or an identity, right? So the moment it's like, as you've given an early example of a chef, or if you looked at a painter or you looked at this thing, you can recognize a painter's work or a chef's work or a musician's work, like a composer, like Rahman. You hear a song and you're like, "Ye to Rahman hi hoga."
Or even like movies.
Or movies, when you see a director and you say, "This must be this director, Tarantino, this, that, Nolan." So what happens is these people are not consciously doing something which they're doing. It's generally become a part of their workflow and identity and process, right? So when they create something, it will always have that feeling that this belongs to them.
Me.
Yeah, to me, if I'm creating something. So that identity or that pattern or that consistency, that doesn't come from a conscious choice. It comes from years of practice, which has kind of made it that way.
And it's like such a, because I know this is a true answer, because I like asked this question like 10 times, like different kind of people, and they always like give me the same answer. Like there is no, like I don't like go into the process thinking I'll make this kind of an image. It just happens to be something which is my style, and I always like make sure that it looks. And when it happens, you just know, okay, it's right.
Now here's the fun part. If you actually, what does take effort and is extremely difficult and it's tough, is to actually make something which does not look like your own work.
Okay.
Do you understand? Because you're trying to break out of that mold. So that's actually more challenging to not be consistent.
You, or I don't know, like how many people know that you also have like a second account, esoteric artist. And I love the uska bio, which is actually a definition that is meant to be understood like very few kind of people. Why do you like have like a different?
So I'll tell you what happened. Initially, I had one account called Shivaji Storm Sen, or Shivaji Sen usually, which got taken down by Instagram because I used to post, let's say, my nudes, my erotic stuff, and my portraiture and my commercial work, everything into one account. So wo tag karte, they kept getting reported, the account got taken down. So then I was like, fuck man, like I lost at that, I'm talking about 3 years ago, I had like 36,000 followers then. Right now, again, after 3 years or 2 years, I've been able to build it back up to 39 now. So it's such an effort and like to, do this because it's constant work. It's not like it happens organically for us, right? I post like now, not as much, but I try and post almost every day.
Okay.
You understand? To be able to post every day, that means how much are you shooting? No, but so then what I did was I divided the work. I said, okay, commercial and celebrity portraits in one, and erotic and this thing in another. So that became the divide, and so that this account will never be at risk. Even now I don't have any violations on the esoteric also because I don't do any nudes. I still do lingerie and stuff like that. So उसमें भी violation नहीं आया, so I'm damn happy.
We need to give a context to the people who are watching that you have like arts background. So you will always taught to appreciate the natural beauty of the human.
Because my masters was based on that. I literally did nudes for my masters. So
what is the thought behind like why do they let you sketch and like study human body?
Do you not appreciate your own body?
I do.
Do you not like everything that you have?
I do.
Right? Even though you have to hide it?
With clothes.
Lekin clothes kya hai? What is the function of clothes? Initially, clothes came into being because it was protection against the environment. It was protection against the environment because of cold, because of this thing. Then it became a thing about not just that. Then it became something. Identity started getting attached to clothes. I'm talking about the tribal status. Status became a thing. And it started in the tribes. It's not something which started this thing. It started at that stage. So even when you go to tribes, you'll see that certain people are allowed to wear certain necklaces or certain parts of clothing which other people are not allowed to wear. So that it sets them apart. So we created hierarchy through clothes. Right? And which is in the modern state, you see the same thing. Super expensive stuff is hierarchy. Right? It's the same thing. Cheap stuff is and people hence identify people by like ye kitne, like when you horrible thing, but an example in India, first people will look at what car you're driving, what watch you're wearing, what clothes you're wearing, what shoes you're wearing. उसी के ऊपर पूरा judgment तो पहले ही हो गया. Right? So that's a hierarchy you formed through clothing. Right?
So like does it mean like when you're shooting like those kind of pictures, like you want to strip down like everything and just like look at the
and it's also an act of rebellion where clothing has gender, it has,
status attached to it.
Status attached to it, and also this whole sexual, this thing is also attached to it, right? So there's societal morals, rules, morality, so much we put into that clothing because religion has helped us kind of उसके ऊपर beat down करने के लिए. So I'm not getting into religion in this discussion.
First podcast पे block करो
एकदम religion discuss नहीं करेंगे. I'm saying morality has been put into clothing. Morality is something which we are so afraid of our most natural state. ठीक है, we were born that way. There was ये clothing किसने लाया सोचो, हम ही ने लाया. ठीक है, बेकार का लाया. There's no need. So if I could do this podcast naked, I would do it. But I know I'll offend everybody who watches it. So no, but that's the issue, right? Why is it that I can't do it? So that is the question. Why not?
So for you, it's like a kind of a rebellious act. Like
so even when I shoot, right? When I shoot, let's say anybody nude, it's like, why not? Because not everything nude is sexual, right? I mean, some things could be. And even if it is sexual, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a very natural state.
So I'm from marketing background. So I follow this marketer called Simon Sinek. And he also says like, what is art? Like, how do you define art? If it's made from an intention of like, it's gonna be an art. It is shown from an intention of like, it is gonna be an art. And if it's like perceived through intention of it's gonna be an art. अगर ये तीनों criteria match होते then it's good. If you make it and you think like it's an art but you never show it to anyone, you are just a closet writer, I would say. If you think from like making it point but like nobody sells it as an art, just people just commercialize it, then it's not an art. It would be like a ad or something else. But अगर तीनों criteria match हो रहा है, that like creating, showing about it, and like perceiving is also.
So I don't agree with that. All the 3 points need to.
But your
match.
bio says that itself, Naki.
No, because I'll give you an example. There's this, and this is one example. There are many artists, okay, who've created work. They have never shown it anywhere.
Yeah.
And they're fucking masters.
Yeah.
You understand? Their work has been discovered later.
Yeah.
And they're like, the world has accepted it as art,
Yeah.
and they treat it like a masterpiece. So they never, their intention was never to put it out.
Okay.
We create for two reasons. One is you create for others, and sometimes and most of the times the better artists would create for themselves. So let's say if I create for myself, that means I create according to what I want to create. I'm not catering to anybody's needs, right? So there's a huge amount of freedom in that, and not everybody can do that. We can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
So let's say if I can do that and I can create my own work which I want to create, but I don't have any intention कि मुझे इसको दिखाना है या बेचना है. If I don't have that intention, there's nothing wrong in it. But if somebody finds it, finds the work, and then they feel for it and they appreciate it, they might end up buying it, borrowing it, putting it up, whatever they do. It still becomes as important as any other art.
I was talking to a friend yesterday. He's also a photographer, like a pro photographer, and he was telling it's so ironic that when I make my personal stuff, I am able to do like a best efforts, and that is what people like want from me. Like from my friends appreciate it, but the client is like ye nahi chahiye, and they always want the not so like a very polished work. They want like the like dots and dots and like they want it
क्योंकि उनका function अलग है ना.
Yeah, it's a
what
function
they
like
seek from that work, their function is different.
Yeah.
So you've got to realize what is it their needs are and what is it that your needs are when you're creating your own work. So they're very different.
Different. But for the most rewarding thing often is about like the stuff we do for like ourselves.
Of course.
Always.
Of course.
I always think.
And like, you might not even get recognition for your personal work. You might get more recognition for the commercial work.
Commercial work.
तो वो तो हो ही सकता है. And it goes other way also. You might not get any recognition for your commercial
like
work.
It happens all the time. Like you send it to clients and you have like a set of things selected which is like your best and you're super proud of it. And the client is like, नहीं वो दूसरा वाला.
नहीं तो वो simple है. देख, I have a philosophy on this. Is when you're working for money, ठीक है? Let that person who's paying, let them decide whatever they want.
Okay.
दे दो. In certain places, I'll not trust it. So I'll give you an example. Let's say if it's somebody who has no idea of what they want, and you can clearly make out that this person has no idea.
Because the direction is very ambiguous.
नहीं, directions नहीं. उनका they've come from references where they think something is supposed to be something. So then you have to put your foot down and say, listen, this is my work, and I'll not give you anything which doesn't suit my standards. So this is what I'm giving you. Take it or leave it. Then there are other people who just want the commercial work done from you, so they will take it from there on. Let's say advertising. So then you just give them a dump of the pictures, and you do your own edit. You do whatever you want. My job is done, and it's also more transactional, right? Like you just got the money, ले लो. मुझे इसका creative input में मेरा नाम भी मत डालो. मुझे नहीं चाहिए.
I'm
you
just
understand?
happy.
Like I made my money. Just like now you do whatever the fuck you want to it. So that's basically giving away full creative control, but you're getting paid a certain amount for it.
Yeah.
You're not getting paid as much, then you said hold on to some of the creative control. You're not getting paid at all, that means it's your work, you have full creative control. So this is the graph. Secondly, the best of both scenarios is when you get paid, so then the person says it's your vision, you do whatever you want.
Okay.
So then that's the best of both worlds.
But don't you think like that get caters to like the top of the top percentile?
Yeah, it starts happening more commonly in your career. Like sometimes when, let's say if I'm getting this thing, I'm like, listen, if you're not taking my creative input, if you don't want it done this way. So a lot of people who come to me and ask me like, oh, can you do this? And I'm like, तुम Chinese restaurant में जाके भेल क्यों मांग रहे हो? Right? Like why are you asking for like khichdi in a Chinese restaurant? Or any other analogy in that matter. So it's the same thing. When you're going to some place and you're going to an artist and you know that this is the work they do, this is what they do well, don't go to them and say, मुझे ये बना के दे दो, दूसरा कुछ. Why are you spending money on that when you want something else? Right?
Yeah.
So you go to that person and you want their expertise, you want their work, go to them and get that done.
I think like as an artist, you always have like two kind of moods. One is the थोड़ा सा egoish हो जाता है when you're like overconfident, like अभी तो फाड़ ही देंगे, and then there is always a phase where like you're super anxious कि I may not be good enough. You have that imposter syndrome वाला thing. Does it like still
The imposter
happen?
syndrome is gone. I mean, that used to happen way back. But see, I'll tell you what happens is when you think of creating something, right?
Yeah.
So when you say that, listen, this is what I want to create, and when you come from not enough experience or you're just starting out, you try to create this, but you end up creating something here.
Yeah.
With practice, with time, with expertise, you
The
start
gap
matching.
can be filled.
Yeah, the gap gets filled, and there comes a day when you thought you'll make this, and you make that. Okay. Now, what happens is a lot of people get so satisfied with this. कि मैंने ये सोचा, मैंने ये बना दिया. Right? They get stuck there, and this is called where they get creatively stuck, where they think they're damn good, and they never want to improve themselves. So now the point is, when you get to this point, now you have to go like keep working on yourself, because there's no end of learning.
Yeah.
Like till the day I die, till my last breath, there's so much to learn that I'll never be able to finish even 1% of what's there to learn, right? So when you come to this stage, then you have to say, Acha, this is what I set out, this is what I want to execute. And then the magic starts happening when you grow, is you complete that and you do something better than expected and then planned.
Yeah.
Right? So when that starts happening is when you are growing, basically. So when you go in at a job and you think that this is what I need to achieve, अभी क्या हो गया कि that expertise आ गया कि when you go in on a basic day, you know that you're going to hit this mark इधर उधर. इतने रेंज में आपको हिट करोगे, आपका कभी इतना नीचे डिप नहीं करेगा.
Yeah.
थोड़ा सा not as good, but like it's a 5%, 10% low, or 5%, 10% high. That's an average which you know you're going to get. So that confidence, which some people again take it as ego.
Yeah.
I won't say ego, मतलब people can use it as ego and say कि मेरा तो ये काम है ये. No, but like even when I go in and when I'm working, there are certain things which I know like मुझे तो ये मिल ही जाएगा. So I'm confident because of experience. कि I know this is simple. This is a cakewalk for me in that sense, because I know I've done this before. I can walk in anywhere and I know I'll get this.
Yeah.
So, and that is why you hire a professional also, right?
Yeah.
An amateur can sometimes do brilliant work.
But
Okay,
he cannot repeat it success every day.
That consistency only comes with people who are experienced and who are professionals.
Yeah. But
so that's why
I
you
was
go to
not saying like
professional.
when I just like
No, I know. But I'm just saying in general what happens, and I'm speaking in favor of the amateur. I mean,
yeah.
You understand? Because sometimes they'll do much better work than the professional. ठीक है, but उसका वो जो एक तुक्का है, वो you can't depend on it when you're hiring.
The professional always know why did what they do, and like
exactly.
If you ask them like why did you do it, like they will. It was super easy. I did this. This is good. Amateur like हो गया.
नहीं, but हाँ, even though the knowledge of like doing it by accident or doing it intentionally, that doesn't matter. The end result matters.
Okay.
But as I said, because what happens is the professional then gets stuck in the idea कि मुझे मेरा यही path है. So then they're not open to experimentation. That's why the amateur sometimes beats that outcome.
And that is just a waking call because you have been doing stuff and you think like you are undefeated, isme. And then you see someone probably like doing way more better, and because you have developed a taste, now you can see like same thing, but he has like done like such a creative.
So dude, it is a huge challenge and internal this thing for me, or I think for most people, is not to look at other people's work. ठीक है? And I'll tell you what I mean by that is because of Instagram and now everybody is there, right? Everybody's putting out their work. Earlier, which was not there. Nobody knew what other people were doing in the industry, in this thing. Now everybody knows. So there's this serious, this thing of fear of kind of, getting into that dark hole when you're looking at other people's work. ये तो इतना अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, ये तो इतना अच्छा कर रहे हैं. And the truth is, you can't do that. What you need to do is look at your own work. And you say, listen, I did this before, now how do I better this? So the competition or the envy or the jealousy should be from within and for yourself, not for anybody else or anybody else's work.
You will always feel confident about like when you're going through your old work here.
So now this is the thing. So don't feel confident from your own work.
What?
Okay. Only when you're really low, then look at your own work and say, अच्छा ठीक है, कुछ तो अच्छा काम किया है. But 90% of the time, 99% of the time, you have to be really disappointed and angry about your own work, and you have to say, मैंने कुछ नहीं किया है.
अच्छा.
Do you understand? Because that's how you'll know that I have a long more way to go.
Okay.
Right. So you have to be constantly dissatisfied with your own work.
I've seen like Nawaz ke photos, and they always like, you know how beauty and fashion, like everything looks same. Everything is high quality pitch, वगैरह, perfect, beautiful, must. This feels thoda rustic. This feels like he's a kind of a mysterious person. Like you have met him, though you might know him. Like he has like a certain kind of personality. How did you took those personality traits and put it into a picture?
Simplest thing to do with actors is I gave him characters. So I gave him his own characters.
Okay.
So let's say when I was shooting for some shot, I would say, listen, I want Manto right now. So go into that space. So I gave him his own characters and I said, I want this.
Okay.
Right.
And he was just able to get the emotions.
He was able to get it. I didn't need to do anything with Nawaz because he is so in tune with everything that he does. He can be wherever he wants to be. Right. And the best part is you see Nawaz is on screen, he's shown us this very rough and very, मुंह बहुत चलता है and like, he's sometimes scary, he's angry, sometimes he's this thing.
Always the unstable person in there.
He's the calmest, most sweetest person you'll ever meet. इतना calm है, इतना ये है कि he's like super, like he's almost like I sometimes think like he's achieved nirvana, like वो एकदम saint की तरह his presence is there.
I want to become like one of the really good photographers in the business, focusing more on portraiture, like would say editorial. How can I get like from where I am to like better, apart from like just shooting?
Simple, study. And when I say study, I mean there are, if you go around my house, there are
a lot of books,
hundreds of books on photographers. Consume their work. Look at how they shoot. Look at their compositions. Look at the way they are using light. Look at the way what emotion are they going for. So when you start studying that in detail, right, and you study each this thing, watch documentaries on these artists. And then you will realize ki where is it that you want to change or grow, right? Which direction you want to go. And initially, if you want to copy. Try and recreate. ठीक है? करके भी कोशिश करके भी तुम्हें वो कर नहीं पाओगे.
वो शेफ वाला.
ठीक है? But while you're trying to copy, in that whole effort of trying to make what they've created, let's say that painting, if I wanted to try and make that painting, you know how much I have to paint to get to the point where I can even match that painting. That's a masterpiece. Do you know how much time it will take me? Fucking 10 years to be able to paint that. But what has happened in those 10 years of me trying to copy that painting, that I have become, that the medium has become my slave.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that's why when I look at a camera, I'm not looking at it as a camera or a Sony or a Nikon or a Fuji or a Canon or a Hasselblad. I'm just like, यार इस पे 3 चीज होती है, aperture, shutter speed and ISO. मुझे 3 चीज बता दो कहाँ पे क्या है, उसके बाद मैं manage कर लूँगा. It doesn't matter what the camera is. It doesn't matter what this thing is. It becomes a tool. It becomes this thing. So it's the same way you need to become in that whole process of trying to recreate and copy a master. You can become so efficient at your language of that medium. Right. That is what you should do to learn your basic.
There's a book called like Steal Like an Artist. The person like puts in a thing that if all the art is same, that means we're like abundant source material and you can pick something from there and like you'll see how it applies. So when I say like portrait photography, I started watching how people sketch a face, because that makes you understand, like, because often when people are sketching, they're trying to understand how a shadow works, which makes you ultimately a better photographer when you are like playing with like a light somehow.
Yeah, of course.
That was like a super like, अरे ये मैं क्यों नहीं कर रहा हूँ? Then
but
I started
they're
like
all
watching.
Interconnected, no?
Yeah, all interconnected. Is it something like that you have found to get better in like your own work?
No, but consuming it automatically does make it so. See, there's a lot of stuff which you're watching, right? And when you're looking at it, you might not be learning from it directly.
Yeah.
But in your subconscious mind, there's something which you've liked or disliked has gone in and registered.
Yeah.
Okay, that feeling which you got from looking at a painting or a picture. So you are kind of picking that up at a subconscious level. So that might come out in your work eventually. So वो तो होगा ही होगा. Everybody is very conscious of their image, right? And especially with Instagram now, where there's so much filters and this and that. And like everybody's competing again. Like everybody's like, "Arey, that person looks hotter, better, slimmer."
And everyone is perfect.
Everyone is perfect. वो तो है.
There are no flaws.
So one of the things which is really funny is every time I shoot somebody new, and every woman says, Shivaji, I know I'm not like one of those women who you normally shoot. ठीक है? मैं बोला, do you realize you're going to become one of those women, and the next woman who comes is going to say the same thing about you. So it's a huge cycle where everybody feels so underconfident about who they are. Right? And they don't realize that everybody is that. Normal people are, they always think that, अरे ये तो इतने सुंदर है, हम लोग कैसे दिखेंगे? We'll not be this thing, and they don't realize that they're part of the same this thing. Then when they go up, let's say on the page, other women who are shooting for the first time will say, oh, I'll not be able to look like that. So this is generally, it's all inside us, right? We feel insecure about ourselves.
What is your process to find that beauty? Because I know, like, whenever I'm like shooting someone, they always have this objection, you know, I don't look good. I just ask them like simply, what's the best kind of like side? I'll go and I'll try to see like what, as a photographer, I have like developed a certain kind of style and a taste, how things look good. I'll just click that, show it to them, and then like I love it.
See again, so sometimes I've had moments where I've shot and the person has not liked the images. देखो ये भी होता है because, and sometimes I've not liked the images. So these variables are always there, right? So they might like the images, I might hate the images. They might hate the images, I might love the images. And then occasionally it happens that both people either like it or both people hate it. So all these variables happen. But that's a part of the job, no? That's very natural.
But like, do you have a process to like get them in a space where like you started liking the images? Like, do you like direct them in a certain poses where you started?
Yeah, so normally my thing starts with light. I look for the correct light and I place them in a place where the environment kind of works for me. The light works for me, and then it's the mood. So those are the steps.
Cool.
Location, light, location, and then mood.
Are you like a perfectionist?
I want to say I'm an opportunist because I'm not always seeking perfection because I don't set out to like make it perfect. But I know that whenever I get the chance to make something perfect, I'm always seeking that. But in a way of like, agar nahi hua to nahi hua. You understand? I'm not going to like, it kind of comes to this point of staging. And you can become a perfectionist as the selection or editing stage.
Yeah.
Right? Where you say, अच्छा नहीं आया है. So इसलिए मैं नहीं use करूँगा. I shot 1,000 images, I don't like any of them.
Because like you get like so much steps to like curate, specifically in digital.
Kind of seem like a perfectionist, but I'm not a perfectionist. I'm opportunistic. I just like look at कि यार इधर अच्छा ये मिल जाएगा, try करते हैं कर लेंगे. So I very go with the flow. I don't plan things. I'm very spontaneous. So I go, and it's a huge part of my romance of this whole medium is I go to people's houses and they send me, should I send you pictures? I said, नहीं मत भेजो. मुझे जाके देखने दो उधर क्या है. And I enjoy that thing कि I'll go and explore a place. I'll find one small patch of light. I'll find something. I'll find a tube light or this thing. How do I use it? So that is exciting for me.
Yeah.
Being able to go to a space and then seeing what I can do there. And sometimes it fails. Like 1 out of 10 times, it's horrible lighting and it's horrible light and space is bad and it doesn't work.
Okay.
But 8 or 9 times out of 10, I can make it work.
I loved how you said like sometimes it just fails, but you are willing to take that like thoda sa risk, I would say. Or
Yeah,
like,
but
because
always.
you're also confident like, you know what, I might be able to make it something out of
But the commercial work, we can't take that risk.
Yeah, we can't obviously.
Right. So then it's very planned. There's pre-planned, recce hota hai, planning hota hai, bahut kuch hota hai. So then you're avoiding that risk. The whole point of planning is you don't have that risk. But in your personal work, that risk, I love that factor. And I love the idea of failure, which is one very big thing. People are so scared of failure. Dude, failure is the best thing you can kind of go through. Okay? Because it teaches you so much. You just need to take it in the right spirit.
Okay. But like how to not take it personally, because you said that you were opportunity.
Take it personally, but take it personally in a positive way. Say that, yaar, is baar nahi hua, and this is why it didn't happen, but next time I'll get it.
Okay. But how can like people get over that hurdle? Because
it's not a hurdle, it's your ego. You think, so it's
back to ego wala
part. You think like, अरे यार, मैं तो cool हूँ, मैं तो हमेशा जीतता हूँ. This whole idea that I will always win and I will always be successful is such a wrong thing. It's such a bad attitude, right? Like this whole idea of luck. People say, "Arey, I was so lucky," okay, or it was luck. Let's say if you found a 2,000 rupee note on the street and you're like, "Fuck, man, I'm so lucky, right? I found a 2,000 rupee note." Do you realize that somebody else dropped that 2,000 rupee note?
Someone's lost.
Yeah, somebody's lost, right? So it's not about you. It's not about like you will make that about you that you found that note. You will say it was about my life. My entire identity, my idea of living, that I was on that street and I found that on the road, I saw it and I picked it up. No, it's chaos. By chance, somebody dropped it, you were there, तुम पास कर रहे थे, तुम्हें मिल गया. It has got nothing to do with
पास भी किया, they might not even like
might not have seen it. तुम्हारे आँख पे आ गया, तुमने तो उठा लिया, ठीक है? So it is not about you. And what we do is we make this entire world and this existence about us. हम लोग सब कुछ घुमा फिराओगे, जो भी बोल दो तुम, वो कप ऑफ कॉफी भी तुम अपने बारे में बना लोगे, ठीक है ना. एनीथिंग यू कैन मेक अबाउट योरसेल्फ, एंड दैट इज वैनिटी एट इट्स बेस्ट. सो when you think about failure in the same way, failure is not about you, right? Failure is about all the surrounding these things. Let's say if you were into sports and if you played a match, right, and you lost. So, and let's say something like cricket or hockey or whatever, like kuch bhi le lo. It's not about you. It's the entire team which played. It's about the climate. It's about the pitch. It's about the ball. It's about the bat. It's about the joints and muscles of each of those fucking 22 players.
And one team was supposed to lose because that is the rule of the game.
वो तो होना ही है, ठीक है. And sometimes the other person is just better who you lost to, and you just need to work on yourself. So the point is, but you take that loss so like personally कि मैं हार गया, right? क्योंकि why? Because we've been taught कि हमें जीतना है. This fuck up is there because our parents, our society teaches us right from the start कि you have to win, right? And we reward you for winning. We push you to win, and the truth is, you need to teach our kids that, dude, it's something. If you fail, then you learn from it, and sometimes you'll win. It is not humanly possible for you to win every time. वो हो ही नहीं सकता. तुम किसी भी चीज को ले लो, business ले लो, studies ले लो, games ले लो, कुछ भी ले लो. You cannot win every time.
It's a very personal question for me as well. How long you been like doing photography? I would say
12 years.
12 years. Do you find like there is a shift in a why you used to do photography or why you used to love photography in the start compared to like why you like photography and love photography now?
Somewhere it's difficult to hold on to that same love and excitement, but the core remains. Do you understand? That core of like wanting to shoot is, thank God, is still there. Right, to create.
Have you like figured out like what is your personal why you like it?
I don't think I have. Like I just keep thinking कि मुझे create करना है, and I then look at the masters and I think like fuck, मैंने तो अभी भी 12 साल में कुछ नहीं create किया है, ठीक है. So there's this constant this thing of keeps pushing me saying that I haven't achieved what I wanted to achieve. So there's this thing which pushes me there, saying that you have such a long way to go. So why, like that whole point of even stopping or changing now is not a discussion.
Yeah, discussion.
It's just like अभी तो तुमने complete भी नहीं किया है. You've not even reached what you set out to reach. Why are we giving up now? It's like that's my way of looking at it. So I keep saying that if it hasn't changed, because that core thing of wanting to create something is still there.
Ideas taking shape. It's such a like we always. It sounds very philosophical. Ideas taking shape. But photography, like you can instantly like see that happening. Like we wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. We go to a certain location, meet everyone, get things together, and everything happens. You might be in a happy mood, sad mood, किसी के साथ झगड़ा हुआ, something happens. And the first moment you take a picture, and it is exactly how you want it to be, and everything feels worth it.
Well, very rarely does that happen on the first picture.
No, I'm not saying like first picture. Like even if it's like exposure ठीक है वगैरह, and like when you shoot it, like everything, तभी तक ambiguity रहता ही है. Like you're still in that process कि it might happen, it might not happen. And when you click it and it's there, like your ideas has become a reality. Now it's just like how much can you stretch it, or like can you repeat your success for the rest of the shoot?
For me though, what you're talking about rarely happens. I go and I take some time. Like I have a warm-up period when I start shooting. So मुझे तो वो to come to that point
I
where
hate
like
warm-up period so much because you just like, am I really not good for the 15 minutes? It's just...
So then what you need to do is, again, ego plays a very important part. You know, once you create that setup and you take that shot and you're like, fuck, सब कुछ ठीक है लेकिन बहुत ही गंदा picture आ रहा है. So this, you have to accept that time कि, okay, I'm not going to invest in this idea that because I've done this, it has to work and pushing it. Change what is not working. So immediately shift, your focus and say, okay, this is not working, boop, let's move, let's try something else.
Yeah. That's where the technical knowledge like really plays off.
Really helps, of course.
Because you, like I all hate this thing, like fake it till you make it wala. It might sound cool when you're doing personal projects because you have the, I would say, time limit and like gap to like do the margin call. Okay, you know what, take it did not work, let's do it tomorrow. But when you're working for a commercially and the client is paying you, that margin of error, like they will not let you go.
You need to have some confidence in the work and also you need to have a certain standard of work. Okay? So like I know, like there was this one photographer, I'm not going to name, okay?
Don't name.
He started taking the works of all these Russian photographers and then posting it in his profile. ठीक है?
Not even copying, just posting.
सीधा picture, वही picture उठा के डाल दिया कि I've shot it. ठीक है? So I was like, dude, so see what happens is I've consumed so much work, I could easily see कि the person who has shot this has not shot this.
Huh.
Do you understand that distinction between the style or the identity? I could see that, and I'm like, this is too varied. It can't be the same person. So then I Google searched the images and I found the original artist. Okay. So I called him out. I put up stories saying that listen, this person is copying, and then he's approaching people in India saying, "Chalo, tum mere saath shoot karo, ye karo, wo karo." Do you understand? So it became a con artist basically.
Yeah.
And that, so I don't support this whole fake it till you make it has to have a limitation to what you talk about faking it.
No. I was just saying like that 15-minute, as you said, like we that figuring out stuff.
Or if you're talking
your
about
technical knowledge is only going to help you, or the
Of course.
people letting you be like, okay, we know you're good enough. Just figure out what is not working.
हाँ, लेकिन वो खुद को accept करना होगा ना कि this is not working, let me change.
Let me change. Sort
वो
of.
change लोग करने के लिए ready नहीं होते हैं. Do you understand? Because they think they've invested so much. This is supposed to be perfect. This is supposed to work. So they get stuck on that idea and then they don't want to change. So you have to accept immediately, dude, this is not working. Let's change this. Let's try this. And it happens with me even like not in a big setup. Even when I'm shooting portraits, if something is not working, so I never say anything negative to the subject. I would just say, cool, we got this. Let's try something else. ठीक है, तो मैं बोल देता हूँ अच्छा I got it. मिल गया अच्छा कुछ दूसरा try करता. I'll never say कि ये मिल नहीं रहा है, अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है.
That is like one of the tricks, ना?
हाँ, that is obviously it's a very important trick. Is never make your subject feel कि something is going wrong or something is not working because they'll take it on themselves. They'll think कि मैं बुरा लग रहा हूँ, मैं बुरी लग रही हूँ. I am looking bad. That's why it's not working, and then their confidence will dip.
Someone I remember watching some tutorial and they were saying कि whenever you're like say it to yourself, the pictures are looking so good, and like always give yourself appreciation at least when you're shooting and less model. Because if you say, "Arey acha nahi aa raha, like it's not looking good," like this, they will get like more self-conscious.
Motivation. So in my workshops also, I talk a lot about what to speak while you're shooting, because it's a very essential part of how that whole experience
Can
goes.
you like give like one example?
Whatever the situation is, tell them that we've got this. Let's move on to the next thing. So because whatever was not working, you stop doing that and then you move to something else which might work. Right. So that's one thing. And in terms of this thing is never make anybody, and especially your subjects, make them feel at ease, make them feel comfortable. So there's a fine line between having a conversation where you are getting personal without getting personal. You understand? So you get personal to, let them open up, let them relax. So you talk about their personal life. Let them talk to you. Actually, the more they talk to you, the more successful you'll be. You just need to listen. And don't ask any questions which are too personal. Don't get into don't be intrusive. Don't be rude. Don't be this thing. So there's a fine balance of listening. So be like a psychiatrist, like a good counselor or this thing. Just if you get them to talk, trust me, you're going to get a lot out of that session. Because automatically when somebody talks to you, you start trusting.
Because like that mood often from it transcends from your face to body language.
वो relax हो जाएगा. The moment that person has told you about that childhood trauma, they'll be like, अच्छा इसके सामने तो मैं कुछ भी कर सकता हूँ. So it's the physical
like
thing
talk
follows.
to people about their childhood trauma.
No, I'm not saying talk about their childhood trauma, but I'm just saying that anything personal, when somebody's sharing a part of their life with you, which is otherwise not spoken about, they are kind of opening up to you, right? So, and as I said, you have to find the fine line where you don't push too much, you don't push through this thing. Let them speak, you listen, be a good listener, and they will they will be so relaxed that you'll be able to make better pictures.